It's 12 o'clock. We're about to fill your ear holes with the sounds of Steve and Igo.
Oh, gross! Oh.
Get ready for the most in-depth discussion on everything ECU. Players, coaches, the program, and more. This is Hoist the Colors with Steve and Igo.
Play ball!
You ready? This is 94.3 The Game. This is where the Pirates play.
All right, welcome in Hoist the Colors on a Monday, Cinco de Mayo, May the 5th. It's good to be back. Good to have our new intro off and rolling on this Monday. We've got a lot to get to. Pirates had a tough weekend on the diamond. As always, we'll have our Monday chat with head coach Cliff Godwin. We recorded that this morning. We went over 20 minutes, had a lot to say. We talked about the series, kind of hit on some big picture stuff. And look, I know we've gotten this a lot. People want to get into big picture things when the season's not going according to plan. So I asked Cliff a few things about that, and Patrick Johnson joined me as well. So we'll hit on that here in a little bit. As always, the comments section is open on YouTube, on Facebook, Twitter, and as well. So if you got a question, comment, drop it on any of those mediums. We'll get to that over the course of the next hour. As a reminder, you can always download the IBX Media app as well, and check us out on Apple Podcast and Spotify to check out any of our shows archived. They are available there. So also a huge weekend of sports in general. Game 7s galore, 2 in the NHL, 2 in the NBA. We'll touch on those things on the back half of the show. Philip Pilkington, he's back from a weekend wedding at the beach. He is in the 94.3 The Game studios. Philip, how was your weekend, man?
It was awesome, man. We had a great wedding. The bride and the groom were happy. I was texting with you Saturday night, I guess it was. They exited to, instead of the sparklers, they exited to Purple Smoke while Purple Haze was played. So all the Pirate Nation will love to hear that.
Yeah, we were talking about Game 7 with Bobby in a chat, and I was like, Philip's probably lighting the sparkler right now. But no, you guys, Purple Haze exit. That's the way to do it, man. And props to the wife for letting that go down. I guess she's a Pirate fan, too.
Yeah, well, actually, so she's from Pennsylvania and went to West Virginia, but she's fully adopted ECU now that she's down here. And I think she kind of viewed it as he's one of those guys that does not, when it comes to the wedding, ask for much. He's like, this is your day. Let you do your thing. But she knew that the intro and the exit, with him being a sports fan, kind of let him have that. So those are the two things he got to say in, was the intro and the exit. They entered to Renegade, and everyone in the bridal party had terrible towels. And, yeah, so that was their intro. And then the exit was Purple Haze. And like I said, she got to plan everything else, and he got to do those two things. But, hey, I mean, what's an intro without it being a sports intro, right?
There's no doubt. There's no doubt. Well, congrats to Davis on the wedding. If you've been at ECU games, you've seen him, even if you don't know who he is, I promise, because he's at every game.
Yeah.
Huge
Except for this
fan,
weekend,
awesome
because he's
guy.
going to be on his honeymoon.
Yeah, that's fair. And, hey, I mean, if you're going to miss the series, this may be the year to do it. So, no offense. All right, we got a lot of comments. CJ Schaefer, who I'm assuming he was at the wedding, he says, can we get a deep dive review on the Purple Haze perception exit, please? Well, we just did that, CJ. We're ahead of you, man. But appreciate you tuning in. Jonathan Wagner also was at the wedding. He says he agrees. We got some comments from Lane Smith, who is always a passionate baseball fan, commenting on ECU losing 2 out of 3 to Wichita State. He says if Zach Root and Bristol Carter make it to the College World Series, and it's likely for one, if not both, that will be 3 players that have left to do so. What a joke. He says Sunday was a joke. He says Friday was awful. I'm completely checked out. Well, at least you're still tuned in, Lane, to the show. So that means you're not completely checked out. Maybe from watching the games, but not from watching us, Philip. So, look, we love the passion, man. I get it. We'll get into it with Cliff, but it's just been such a frustrating season, and this weekend was another layer to that. Winnable games given away. I mean, simple errors, not covering first base as a pitcher, dropping fly balls, not stretching to receive a play at home plate. Just the little things, man, against a team that is, quite frankly, bad. It was a frustrating weekend for the Pirates, Philip.
It was. And, it's funny. We always talk about in football, like 5 or 6 plays to define one football game. Well, sometimes 2 or 3 at-bats define a baseball game, and I think that's something that happened on Friday as well as on Sunday. I'll kind of let CG go more into the details, but he kind of paints the picture of what cost East Carolina the games on both Friday and Sunday. And then he mentioned, and I think this is the biggest reason it's been frustrating, not to give away too much of the interview that's about to be played, but he mentioned how good the team looked Saturday, and that's been the most frustrating part. If this team was a bad baseball team, I think it would be less frustrating, but they're not, because they looked like a regional contender, if not a super regional contending baseball team on Saturday, where you carry a perfect game into the sixth. And it's not, I mean, was it good pitching by Norby? Sure, but it was phenomenal defense behind him. You scored in, I think, 5 of the 9 innings, so it wasn't like you were relying on one inning to be a huge inning. That looks like a team who can contend for Omaha, so we know it's there. It's just not there consistently, and that's the worst part about this.
And Pirates lose the series to the currently, I believe, last place team in the league, as Wichita State is now tied with Memphis and UAB. 7-14 overall. Again, 8 of the 10 teams make the conference tournament, and so the bottom 2 do not. ECU, if you're wondering where they're sitting, which we'll have a deeper dive into the standings later this week. Pirates are still okay as far as making the tournament, 11-10. They would have to really collapse, which is always possible down the stretch, and the other teams would have to win a lot of games. But Pirates are tied for 6th right now with Tulane, or tied for 5th, which would put them in 6th spot. And you have one game that separates second place, which is FAU, Charlotte, and USF, all at 12-9, between the 6th spot, which is ECU at 11-10. So still a lot to play for here down the stretch, but it's been a frustrating. I mean, this is now 4 of 5 conference series ECU has lost, Philip, and you still have yet to play 2 of the most talented teams in the league in UTSA and South Florida. So I don't think ECU is going to miss the tournament, and the conference is better this year, but we've never seen ECU struggle in conference since 2017, the last time ECU missed a regional, which I guess lines up. But the inability to win conference games, we're just so used to seeing ECU dominate this league. It's just been kind of tough for fans to accept.
Yeah, I kind of mentioned it last week, right? We're the problems we're going through is kind of common amongst most college baseball teams. We're just a little spoiled. We're not used to being most college baseball teams. Now, the interesting thing about the conference standings, you said there's one game between 2nd and 6th. Well, there's only 5 games between 2nd and dead last. The team that is currently 2nd right now in South Florida could technically, now with teams playing each other, I don't know how it works out, but mathematically could still finish last, and there's only 6 games left to be played. So, yes, I do think the conference, whereas maybe it's not what it was in that 2017 season with like Houston and UConn, which were very good teams that year, maybe you don't have that, but I just think consistently top to bottom, I mean, there's been some dog water teams here over the last, half dozen years. I just don't know if you really have that this year. Yeah, there's 1 or 2 that have struggled, especially Rice early. Since they've made their coaching change, things have gone a little better. And still, everybody just at least looks like a competent baseball team.
All right, we'll get a break in here shortly because we got to get the Cliff on the other side. I do want to read a few comments. Cameron says, "Look, I get we have young guys, but there are only 5 people that show me they deserve a spot for next season." He mentions Irby, Burris, Colby Wallace, Trammell, Peltier. It's open for the rest. I mean, I think there's more than that, but we can get into a conversation about the roster later on, which he says more of an off-season topic. And, yeah, I mean, that's coming up quickly if ECU does not make a run in the conference tournament. But I expect roster changes. I expect guys to, the coaching staff knows who's looking good in practice, who they feel is going to develop. So we've seen a lot of guys take a leap from freshman year to sophomore year. So we'll see as Brian adds that Bradley Zayak looking better as well. All right, let's get that break in so we can get to Cliff Godwin on the other side. Pirates head coach, he'll comment on the Wichita State series and more. Patrick Johnson will join us as well. This is Hoist the Colors on a Monday.
The team of Flatlands Jessup is working overtime to help ensure that Eastern North Carolinians like you get the health insurance help you need this open enrollment period. New legislation passed meaning more people than ever qualify for affordable coverage. Let us help you today.
Are you ready to tackle those yard and garden projects? Come by East Carolina Tractor and Fleet, your local Coyote dealer, and check out their great selection of residential and commercial Coyote tractors. From zero-turn mowers to compact tractors to skid steer loaders, they've got you covered. Some with 0% financing for qualified buyers. Stop by your hometown Coyote dealer, East Carolina Tractor and Fleet, across from the Pitt County Fairgrounds or online at ectfleet.com. East Carolina Tractor and Fleet, we dig dirt.
Big tax credits are back. Get a 30% tax credit, up to $2,000 off your new Mitsubishi electric heat pump install. Let Comfort Master help you take advantage of the tax credits with a qualifying Mitsubishi electric ducted heat pump or non-ducted Mitsubishi electric mini splits. Mitsubishi electric mini splits are ideal for bonus rooms, garages, or sunrooms. If you need a new HVAC unit, call Comfort Master today.
Call Comfort Master. Call Comfort Master.
At Parker's Barbecue, our family has been serving your family for 3 generations.
For that, we say thank you.
Blessing families every Thursday. Kids eat free all day. That's the Parker's way.
Legendary food served from our 3 locations. Always quick, always delicious. That's the Parker's way.
At Parker's, our mission is to impact our customers through Christ-like service in a way that feeds them both physically and spiritually. That is the Parker's way.
You know what the problem is with standard belts? Usually you have to choose between too tight or the opposite, too loose. But with Anson Belt and Buckle, you don't have to choose. We got rid of the holes and instead have a track system designed for micro-adjustability. That way you can enjoy a perfect fit every time. Anson Belt and Buckle. Find your perfect fit today.
Healthwise Pharmacy rounds the bases with all of your infusion, retail, compounding, and medical equipment needs. Locally owned and operated by pharmacist Marcy Parker, Healthwise has grown to be your most trusted provider for infusion services. Currently providing in-home or on-site infusions in North Carolina, South Carolina, and Virginia. Visit Healthwise Pharmacy at 615B South Memorial Drive or call 252-295-0059 to speak to a patient service representative to find the option that best suits your needs.
Tired of the 1-800 numbers advertising Medicare products? Flatlands Jessup has 6 offices all throughout eastern North Carolina. Get face-to-face help from our local award-winning licensed team. Stop by today. Flatlands Jessup, your whole world covered.
Oh, hey, welcome back. You got here just in time. This is Hoist the Colors on 94.3 The Game.
Head coach Cliff Godwin of Pirate Baseball joining Stephen Igo and yours truly, Patrick Johnson, here, our weekly conversation with the coach. We appreciate Cliff joining us here after the Pirates go out and lose a tough series to Wichita State. We'll talk about it. Big win against Elon middle of the week, and exams will be wrapping up this week, so it's kind of a wonky time of year. Cliff, thanks for the time as always. Just kind of a review of last week. Good win out at Elon. And then you were in every game, by and large, over the weekend.
Yeah, we won at Elon. We pitched really good, played good defense, didn't do much offensively, but did enough, and won 4-2. Get out to Wichita State, have a good practice. Norby's scheduled to go on Friday. Norby is sick on Friday, can't go. So we have to start Brad Pruitt, and weren't expecting him to go long because really he's a reliever by trade. Not that he won't be able to start one day, but just to open the game. And we give up one, I think, in the first infield single, and a run scores, no big deal. And then the second, we go out and get the first 2 guys out in like 4 pitches, and then we throw 10 straight balls, and really still could have got off the field. We walked 3 guys in a row, and we don't cover first base, and then the wheels fall off. We give up a 4 spot, and that's really the most frustrating thing is we beat ourselves. We don't let the other team beat us, and that was the same thing on Sunday. And I'm sure people are saying, well, that's a reflection of coaching, and if that's the case, and that's on me. We do coach those things and the little things, and we have done a good job at times, like we did on Saturday. I mean, Saturday we played a really, really good baseball game. And if, people from the past watched us play on Saturday, they'd say, well, man, that's a Cliff Godwin, East Carolina coach team. Norby was awesome. The defense was awesome. We had tough at bats, and it wasn't like we hit a ton of home runs. Colby hit 1, but we just really grinded out at bats, and I think we scored 6 runs. And then, yesterday we get out to score first run in the first, and things are smooth. Sean Jenkins wasn't really sharp, and we got to continue to get him back to the level he was in the fall and the way he was at Charlotte. And kid's working his tail off, but he's just still a little bit off. And So we go to the bullpen and we're up a run and we don't execute. I think it was an 0-2 and a 1-2 pitch, which end up being singles. And well, that can happen at times, but then we walk the next guy and, bases loaded. We bring in Nick Moran and the guy bunts and, Walker knows it's a forced play, but in the moment he doesn't act like a first baseman. He tries to tag the guy and of course, it's ruled an out on the field, and they overturn it after review, and we give up a big inning. I mean, the game wasn't lost in the ninth inning yesterday; it was lost in whatever inning that was, the fourth. And our guys did battle back, and we tie the game, but the game knows, and we just didn't play clean enough baseball to be able to win the game yesterday.
Coach Cliff Godwin joining Steve and Igo and myself here as we talk Pirate baseball. You mentioned Jenkins, and I want to follow up with him in a second. But another freshman that has pitched really well, 2 great outings, 4 of his last 5 outings, he's really been very, very good. Is Bradley Zayak, and he seemed to give you a little bit of obviously pitched well at Elon. I think I had 5 strikeouts in that game, but really did a fine job of kind of giving you a little bit of a lift yesterday and keeping it where you guys could get back in it.
Yeah, he's been awesome. And, he's going to pitch in the rotation this weekend coming up. I don't know what day, but the guy's going to be in the rotation because he's earned that for sure. And as I told our team yesterday, a lot of criticism has gone to the younger guys. The only reason we're in the damn game yesterday is because of the freshmen. Burris, Austin Irby, Drew Downs, and Zayak. That's why we were in the game yesterday. And those guys played their tails off and, they're getting better, and that's the cool thing to see with this group, injured group, a group that has been handed a lot of adversity. The freshmen are getting better, and that's a good thing to see.
Yeah, absolutely. With Sean Jenkins, I think he reclassified. So I mean, he's younger than the average freshman. I mean, he should be truly in his senior year, getting ready for the playoffs right now. So, that's the intriguing thing when you're covering, and I'm sure coaching a freshman. I mean, this time of year, guys are getting ready for the postseason. They're getting ready if they're seniors to graduate. They're dealing with the prom. I mean, it's a much different animal from a year ago for a lot of these freshmen.
Sean is younger than any of the incoming freshmen for next year's class. Put that
Wow.
just kind of put that in perspective. So he just turned 18 a couple weeks ago. I don't know the exact date. So, but Sean works his tail off. He cares as much as any player that I've ever coached, and sometimes that can kind of work against him. But he continues to work hard, and he's going to be great for us moving forward for sure.
Cliff Godwin is with us on this Monday, and Coach, we saw Ethan Norby back-to-back really strong outings, this time in a starter's role. And you mentioned the sickness. Unfortunately, that led to another Friday night or a series opener where y'all didn't get much length. But just how big was Norby on Saturday? And it feels like he's starting to maybe get over that midseason slump, if you want to term it that. But just it's something a lot of pitchers go through that first time as a full-time starter.
Yeah, he was tremendous. He was really, really good, and had 4 pitches going for him, and just smothered Wichita State. And the thing that if you didn't watch the game, I mean, our defense was really good early. Like Kobe Wallace made some unbelievable plays. Irby made some unbelievable picks at first base, and really the game could have been different. I mean, Norby would have had a pitch with some traffic if we hadn't made some of those web gems early. And then we just, scratched out runs here and there offensively. I think we scored in 5 of the 9 innings that we had on Saturday, which is Pirate baseball for sure. So it was just a really, really clean game.
You mentioned the mistakes that added up in the loss, Coach. Obviously, the 2 dropped fly balls in Sunday's game. And I don't know, do you coach that harder? The kind of fluky things too. Do you try to make it less of a mental thing so it doesn't get in somebody's head? I don't know. How do you address something like that where it's a play a guy makes probably 99 of 100 times?
Well, the first one didn't hurt us because they lined into a double play. Burris just went back on the ball to start with and then just was out of control coming in on the ball, and it just healed him. AP's a great defender. Put him in the game. It was actually a last-minute thing. I was actually getting ready to put Davin Whitaker in right field, but I wanted to have his bat because he had faced that righty that was on the mound on Friday night. So felt like that was a good matchup for us offensively. When we came back in the top of the 10th, but of course it didn't work out well for us. And, we weren't trying to intentionally walk the second guy of that inning. We were trying to get him to bunt, but we walk him and they just put you in a bind. And hey, kudos to them. They run a slash and we're running a bunt crash defense. And, they hit a ground ball through the 6-hole and game's over. So like I said, it wasn't lost in the ninth inning. And I'm sure a lot of people are going to say that it was lost in the inning that we didn't execute two strike pitches, and you got two freebies in there, and we don't act like a first baseman as a catcher. I mean, there's a slew of things. If you do one thing right there, man, it's a totally different game, and we win the game, and everybody feels different. But that's not what happened, and we've been challenged as much as any team at ECU since 2017. And if people think that we're not trying or we're not working, they've lost their mind. So we're going to continue to fight. This week we have exams. We're in the middle of exams even during the weekend. So some guys had some exams they had to take on Friday morning before the game. But we'll give them today and tomorrow off from practice, and then we're going to actually practice and scrimmage on Wednesday and practice on Thursday, and then be ready for UTSA this weekend.
Coach, you mentioned it there, but it's been 8 years since you guys have not been in at-large contention at this point. So, I mean, it's been a long time. And how do you guys as coaches, do you I don't know, take anything differently down the stretch here in terms of trying to give guys, I don't know, any rest on the mound or anything like that, or you just approach it like you still got to win every game 100 miles an hour? Is there any change in that approach?
I mean, look, man, we probably have to still win some games to be sure we're in the conference tournament, which is different than 17. There was only 8 teams, and we finished dead last. Then we started out 0-10 in the conference. Actually, Franny asked me this past weekend, how did we navigate, the last weekend series in 17 going into the conference tournament? And I said, well, I looked at Jacob Wolf in front of the entire team on Wednesday night after practice, and I said, hey, Wolf, you're going 100 pitches tomorrow, whether that's 3 or 7. So whenever you hit 100, I'll come get you. And, we threw Kirk Morgan on the Saturday game, which was game 3, and Kirk Morgan threw, I think, 86 pitches, 8 innings. It was unbelievable. And we beat Mason Fioli, who was the freshman pitcher of the year, with basically our players from off the bench. I mean, Nick Barber started at shortstop. Brady Lloyd started in left field. Wes Phillips started at second. And I think Charlie Jorgen started at third. Washer had his first start behind the plate. So we played all the guys that normally don't play. And then we had a lead and, put some of those guys in at the end of the game. But, yeah, we'll definitely have to rest some of our pitching, the last weekend. But in front of our home crowd, senior weekend this weekend against UTSA, we need people to come out and support Riley Johnson and Jake Hunter for sure. I mean, their last games ever to be played at Clark LeClaire Stadium. Before, I guess, Campbell on Tuesday, but senior weekend, and we'll be ready to go with UTSA. And obviously, it's going to be a very, very big challenge for us, but we will not back down.
Cliff Godwin joining Stephen Igo and myself. Physically, how is Riley? And just not that there's anything wrong, but just physically at this point in the year, we've marveled at what Jake Hunter's done. But, how's Jake feeling, I guess, right now?
Patrick, there is something wrong with Riley Johnson. That's why he
No,
doesn't
yeah,
play on Sunday.
I said with Jake Hunter. If I wasn't clear, let me be clear. I know there's nothing that's wrong with Hunter, but I mean, I'm just curious how he's feeling, after what he's been through. And then Riley Johnson, obviously there is, that's why I asked about Riley.
Yeah, well, that's how you start it with Riley. So there's something wrong with Riley. Normally, I guess right now, he just can't go 3 days in a row. You could tell at the end of Saturday's game that it was coming to an end, and hindsight's 2020. You're trying to win the game. Could have taken him out the last 3 innings probably, but we wanted to make sure we would win one game there on that Saturday. And he woke up yesterday morning just not able to go, and Mike could have gone an inning or 2 yesterday, but I just didn't want to put him at risk to be out for the rest of the season if we weren't going to for sure win the game. So we didn't put him in yesterday. Jake Hunter has felt fine. I think he has had as much rest the past couple weeks as he's had in a long time, just with the way his
Right.
rehab protocol from a throwing standpoint. So he was really good. I guess that was on Saturday, or Friday. I can't remember. The days are running together, but he was really
Yeah, I
good
think
for us.
Friday.
Friday, yep.
Cliff Godwin with us here. So with, to kind of pick up on what Igo was talking about there, does this give you a chance? Because once they get through exams, I mean, this is an obviously, mentally kind of challenging time. Do you look at this as, okay, we got a chance for a reset here with plenty of runway still ahead of us going into the postseason, because it's nothing but baseball after this week?
Yeah, I think academics is probably a lot easier today than it was pre-COVID, and that's just my opinion. And I wouldn't just say that for East Carolina, say it for everywhere. A lot of online classes. I mean, some of our guys are actually done, not many, but some of our guys are done with exams already, which I think exams run through Wednesday. Thursday might be the last day, but I don't think academics is as challenging as it was 5, 6 years ago. So a lot of our guys have done really well academically, of course. So, but we'll give them these first 2 days off, and then, like I said, we'll practice in scrimmage on Wednesday and practice on Thursday, and then get ready for UTSA this weekend.
Dixon with another really solid week for you, multiple hit games, I think in 2 of the 4 last week, and he just continues to play very well for you. What growth did you see in Dixon from where, we had talked about him coming out of the Tulane weekend in the last week out of the Wichita State weekend? What are some of the things you've observed?
He's just been getting ready to hit a little bit earlier. I think he was, a little bit passive at times and a little bit late timing wise. If you don't get ready to hit as a hitter, you don't get to visually see the ball as good as you need to see it. And so sometimes you'll make, just late decisions. And he's just done a better job of looking for his pitch, where he's looking for it, and, getting a swing off. I think the past 2 weeks he's been really, really good for us offensively. And, we'll need that down the stretch for sure.
Coach, you look at this, this stretch run. Obviously, we talked about where you guys are at from an at-large perspective, and this may be more of a postseason question, but we get a lot of big picture questions, as you would imagine, in a season like this. I don't know, what have you learned over this season about your team, the direction of college baseball going, or is this more of something you want to address after the season, as far as kind of lessons as a staff you guys might have learned dealing with this year?
I'm going to try to keep my composure with this question, because I know that there's people out there that think I should just, open up the checkbook and pay players a ton of money. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, you're good.
Yeah. And this year has been the perfect storm. I mean, it's kind of like 17, and no, we're not packing the season in, but when you have 2 weekend rotation arms that haven't thrown one pitch, and Ryan Towers and Antolik will not throw a pitch for us this year. Braxton Trammell will probably not play this year, because unless we win the conference tournament, there might be an outside chance. Your Rawlings Gold Glover has played in maybe 4 or 5 games and not been 100%. Like, what team could survive that and be the team that everybody wants them to be? And you're running out 4 or 5 freshmen, which, you know what? If it takes us to lose this year so people will come back and be hungry, and what it took in 17 for us to have the run we have, then maybe we needed that. I don't know. But at the end of the day, we're going to continue to show up every day. We're going to commit to the standards of ECU baseball. And I know everybody's worried about everybody leaving off our team because we didn't have a great team. Hey, our core group will be back next year. And you can put that and write it in your little books of everybody. Our core group that everybody's worried about leaving will be back next year. So at the end of the day, we got games to play this year. And I don't want to address this stuff anymore, but some of those people out there need to hear that. And we'll be ready on Friday night. And what we need Pirate Nation to do is to show up and be loud and support our guys, and for us to play good baseball down the stretch.
Well, I appreciate the answer, Coach. I know I had to ask something about just the big picture of it.
I know.
It's been a
I can't
challenging season for
imagine.
everybody.
You know what's really frustrating is I can't get our kids to get off Twitter. I'm in the flight going to Wichita and one of our freshmen scrolling through Twitter, and I go, man, what an idiot. Like, you guys you think they're saying anything good about you guys on Twitter for all places? Like, that's the thing that man, it's been hard for those young guys because they're on it. And as much as I educate them about it, I mean, that's the life they live. That's the generation they were raised in. And you've got these dumb people that have no idea what's going on in our program. Really, they have an outside view, but they're not in the weeds every day about what's going on and what the work we put in. And it's easy to be very critical when things aren't going well. But I tell you this, you better be careful what you ask for because, man, we've had a hell of a run here the past 8 years. Man, it has been one of the most special runs that's ever happened in ECU baseball. And we will get back to where we have been, I promise you, because I'm not going anywhere.
Cliff Godwin with us. Last thing for you, Coach. Obviously, you mentioned exams, but you look at this year's standings. One game basically separates 2nd through 6th. I know y'all probably don't look at that too much, but still a lot to play for there. And UTSA coming to town. So over these last 6 conference games and Campbell as well, last 7 games, just how important are these to close out the season the right way going into that conference tournament?
Well, it's like I told them, last week, we got to start playing consistent baseball, not just one day. We got to put some good quality days together. You can't just get to the conference tournament and go, hey, let's flip the switch and let's learn how to play consistent baseball. I mean, you guys have seen at times we can beat anybody in the country, and then the next day we could lose to anybody in the country. And that's been the biggest challenge for this team, to mentally be focused and dialed in. If you just seen us play on Saturday, you'd be like, man, they're really, really good. If you had to look at our record, man, those guys can pitch. They can really play defense. They can execute offensively. Man, that's a winning team. And then if you watch us play on Friday and Sunday, you'd be like, man, that's why their record is the way it is. And we've got to get just a little bit better in, all 3 phases. And on any given day, we can beat anybody in the country if we play great baseball in all 3 phases.
So the Pirates.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say the Pirates will have UTSA this weekend, 6 o'clock on Friday, 4 o'clock on Saturday, and that's the senior day. So I just wanted to give Cliff a chance to kind of comment on that. And then about what time, and maybe you haven't got this far, but I mean, about 15 minutes before, 20 minutes before fans need to be in the seats for the senior day program.
Yeah, Patrick, I definitely have not got that far. But yes, 15 to 20 minutes before, all the guys that are graduating from East Carolina will be recognized. Of course, Riley Johnson, Jake Hunter, Dixon Williams is graduating in 3 years. He's done a great job academically. Big John Collins and Jaden Winter, are 5 guys that are graduating from East Carolina University.
Awesome stuff. Really is. All right, Igo, take it away, Igo. Close it out.
All right, Coach, we appreciate the time as always. Patrick Johnson, Stephen Igo, thank you, Coach.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
All right, there is our interview with head coach Cliff Godwin. Lots to unpack there. Philip and I will react to it on the other side. This is Hoist the Colors on a Monday.
Hey, it's Jim Wells again with Wells Roofing and Gutters here in the beautiful community of Lindale, Bedford. At Wells Roofing and Gutters, we believe in quality first, and that's why we use CertainTeed shingles, which are manufactured in Oxford, North Carolina, a local company. In the event you ever do have a claim or a problem with your roof system, they're local and they come and take care of us in a timely manner. We could leave off some accessories and we could certainly save money, but we believe at Wells Roofing and Gutters in installing the correct way per manufacturer requirements, and we warranty your roof both in-house and also with our supplier, who is CertainTeed. For a job Wells done, no shortcuts taken, and a good quality job on your home, give us a call today, 252-227-8403. We also offer financing, 12 months, no interest, no payments.
This is about you, your family, and the health of all who live in Eastern North Carolina. This is about the transformation of a health system into something more powerful and more human, about creating new ways to treat disease and keep you well. This is about ECU Health, which is to say, it's really all about you. ECU Health. Minds, hearts, purpose.
You have a choice when you invest in insurance, and when you choose First State Insurance Advisors, you're working with people you can trust. Clark Stallings has deep ties in the community. His team, including Keaton Smith, Regina Asby, Phil Leva, Max Joyner Jr., Max Joyner III, and Ginger Smith, provides knowledgeable and professional advice. First State Insurance Advisors is an independent insurance agency. They offer all types of personal insurance as well as various types for business. Call or email First State Insurance Advisors today. We want to be your trusted choice agency.
Other restaurants claim their food is fresh and fast, but are they friendly? At Moore's, you're treated like family the minute you walk into their doors. With locations in Winterville, New Bern, Swansboro, Morehead City, and Jacksonville. We've been practicing what we preach since 1945. At Moore's, our barbecue is slow cooked and smoked over real wood daily until it's so tender it's falling off the bone. Combined with our fresh chicken, cooked-to-order seafood, and homemade fixins, we're sure you'll agree. If it's not Moore's, it's less.
Remember, get the podcast of the show on the IBX Media app or where you get your podcasts.
Got it. You don't have to tell me twice. I remember it exactly.
Stephen Igo and Hoist the Colors on 94.3 The Game.
All right, welcome back in. Hoist the Colors on a Monday. Philip hooking and producing. Philip is still getting used to these new beds. I don't know. I still don't know how I feel about them, man.
I don't know. Yeah. Just so growing.
Let us know. We had somebody who wasn't a big fan of the ear hole comment at the start of the show, which
if I hear ear hole, I'm thinking what I'm doing to somebody on a football field, right? Which now is a blindside block or whatever crap they come up with. But ear hole should be like.
Yeah, just I don't know. We might have to rework some of these things, but we'll figure it out. Appreciate everybody tuning in. We got a couple comments I want to address. We'll make this a shorter segment, but I did want to react to the Cliff Godwin interview. And look, I mean, I've kind of tried to stay away from asking these big picture questions because, like, it's just I just know coaches, they don't like what's going on in their head as far as the offseason roster construction. Like, they're thinking about it, but they don't want to take away from the current team. And let's be honest, there's still a chance ECU can make a regional through the conference tournament. So it's not like there's nothing to play for. So I don't know, like, but I felt obligated to ask Philip after the Wichita State series because it was kind of a big picture. You're officially eliminated from conference title contention. Your at-large hopes, if there were any, are completely gone. So I thought Cliff gave a fair answer and showed some fire, which I think people wanted to hear as well. And I don't know, did you have any interesting takes or thoughts on that interview?
Mine went down to the picture or the question that we've all been asking, and that relates to the South Florida series and the pitching. This is something I think we've all kind of dodged asking Cliff, but now with this week, the conference regular season is officially, impossible. This is not going to be a multi-bid at-large league. I think UTSA could find themselves in as well as a conference champion. So, look, let's be honest. We're not going to get that. We're going to have to win the conference tournament. So, the fact I think it was the appropriate time to ask the question, he, I think, gave the answer that Pirate fans want. He at least gave the answer that I wanted, where I think he knows this team's path to their ultimate goal, which is to make it to Omaha, is through a conference championship, and it's still on the line. But if you go out there and hose yourself in Tampa and put yourself in a bad situation, that goal even becomes steeper than it already is.
Yeah, and the Pirates, I mean, to feel good about it, you don't want to get swept by UTSA. If you do that, then you could be looking at going to that final series, really need to win at least one, maybe two games to assure yourself a spot in the conference tournament, and that's not really a place you want to be. We have a couple of questions here on the state of the roster going forward. Graham on Facebook says, how many players do we think will honestly retain from this team now For example, he says number 14, Troy, replaced 8 position players and starters with portal players and another 7 pitchers to add to their only returning starter, All-American Brooks Bryan. When do we get in the portal game? You know, I've got mixed feelings about this because you look at the guys that ECU brought in through the portal this past season. I would say, especially from a pitching standpoint, they got into the portal game. Some, like Brad Pruitt, have worked out. Others, like Ryan Towers, Brett Antolik, although injury-related, have not worked out for this year's team. There has to be a balance. I think you still have to retain, you have to develop, and you have to use the portal and junior college. We're seeing ECU dive into the JUCO ranks right now from a position player standpoint. So there has to be a balance. To me, I know the Troy example, it's great. It worked out for them, but you could probably take a look at a lot of schools across the country and it didn't work out. So that's an example that did work out. I think there's a balance to that as well. You don't want to have to just rely on the portal every single year. Do I expect ECU to be more active in trying to land impact players in the portal? I think so. You know, we'll see how that works out over time. But as far as the core, Cliff Godwin basically said during that interview, Philip, that he expects this core to be back. And I think that's a good thing for this team because it's not like there's not talent here. It's just, for me, the depth of the roster and the overall talent top to bottom needs to improve. And I like the incoming class. I like the junior college guys they have already had committed. But certainly, to me, you got to add some impact players, specifically, if possible, at shortstop, on the mound. We'll see what happens in center field going forward. But, you know, you also need money to do these things. So there's a lot of moving parts. But to his original question, I expect probably 12 to 15 players at least from this core returning. But all that will have to be decided in time.
It will. And here's my thing, you know, if we look at this, I know we got plenty of time. We're going to do it in the offseason. Let's talk about the mound right now. If you do retain Antolik, Towers, Norby, Jenkins, that's 4 guys who can legit, and Pruitt, because he's only a junior, right?
So he is a sophomore, but he is draft eligible by age.
Okay.
So he has a decision to make.
Okay, so he has the decision to make. But if you can really keep all those, I mean, yeah, you're going to need some other guys around them. Now, there's some young guys on this roster that maybe look better at the beginning of the year that have not been as good of late that'll probably be fine next year. You know, it's just that year of adapting. But, yeah, I mean, 2 or 3 arms from the portal, maybe they don't even have to be starters. Maybe those are your starters. I'm going to go on a limb and say I'm guessing Ethan Young gets drafted. I wouldn't expect to have him back, but if you have him back, boy, would that be a bonus. You know, Hunter's the only real guy you're 100% losing on the mound. You know, it's going to stink to lose Riley from a leadership standpoint. But, man, this outfield is coming together. Like, it's taking some time, but, you know, Burris is a stud.
You're missing
Jack
Trammell
Herring,
right now.
Yeah, Trammell's you're missing. Herring's been playing a lot better. Yeah, you probably need to address the shortstop situation. But, man, like, keeping Colby, keeping Irby, Walker Barron behind the plate, like, I mean, you're pretty – I wouldn't say you're set, but, like, I don't think it's time to
You've
panic.
got a good core.
Yeah. And it's a young core, right? I mean, these guys are starting – we're not used to starting this many freshmen. I mean, look at the best players in Pirate baseball history. Most of them did not start, even position players, as freshmen. Riley Johnson barely played.
Yeah, there's always layers to it. I mean, Riley Johnson, Connor Norby almost didn't survive his freshman year. Now he's in the big league. So it's like there's a lot of layers to it. Brian says, if we're being honest, who would we ask not to come back or be okay with if they left? Brian, I mean, you're talking about a 34-man roster, a lot of layers to that. We'll save that discussion for after the conference tournament in the days after the day of, if ECU gets eliminated. We'll get into that. I just don't want to go through the roster and start kicking guys off the team before the season ends. I mean, we can have those discussions at the appropriate time. Thank you for the question, and I get it. We always want to look ahead, but we'll save that for when the games are officially done. Let's get a break in. When we come back, we'll talk what was a crazy weekend in sports. Game 7s, you had 2 in the NHL, you had 2 in the NBA. You had some pretty insane finishes in the NHL specifically. We'll discuss that, the NBA as well, and any other things you guys want to get into on this Monday. Cinco de Mayo. Thank you for tuning in. We'll be right back with our final segment.
Hi, I'm D.R. Alligood.
And I'm his daughter, Jessica.
For 11 years, we have built quality driveways and parking lots for both your residential and commercial needs. We also offer free on-site quotes to have your custom driveways built the way you want.
252-946-1227.
Your roof is a vital part of protecting your home and family from dangerous storms and hurricanes. At Assist Roofing, we install and maintain metal roofing that provides precise protection. Add value to your home while lowering utility costs with a fortified roof to last a lifetime. With 0% financing, grants, and Energy Star Green Roofing tax credit available. Call us to schedule a free consultation so you can weather any storm with confidence.
Make every day electric on the Kawasaki Electro 20 electric balance bike. Maximize the fun with long run times, impressive top speed, and Kawasaki build quality. Easy adjustability and smooth handling make everyday riding more enjoyable. And the standard MTB type tires provide off-pavement capability. The Kawasaki Electro 20 is the electric balance bike that's built to rip. Go to Ron Ayers Motorsports, Memorial Drive north of the airport, Greenville.
Your confidence makes everything look good. You see the world in vivid color, not black and white. Swing through your neighborhood Fantastic Sam's cut in color. And let our experienced stylists take you from everyday to extraordinary.
Fantastic Sam's hair salons are locally owned and operated. Our full-service salons are conveniently located in Goldsboro, Kinston, Greenville, New Bern, Jacksonville, and Calabash. Stop in today at Fantastic Sam's, where the possibilities are endless.
If you are interested in living longer and living stronger, Eastern Physical and Lifestyle Medicine is accepting new patients for a limited time. Finding a caring physician can be a challenge. Dr. Billy Smith is board certified in physical medicine and lifestyle medicine and has been practicing in the area for many years. Call for an appointment now to Eastern Physical and Lifestyle Medicine, 252-364-1108 in Greenville. That number again is 252-364-1108.
Looking for a great deal on a new Nissan?
At Greenville Nissan, we've got a great selection of new Nissans for under $30,000.
The stylish Nissan Sentra, offering top-notch fuel economy. The Nissan Altima, known for its comfort and technology.
The Nissan Kicks, the perfect combination with its compact design and performance. The Nissan Versa, delivering incredible value without compromising on features. And don't forget the Nissan Rogue, an award winner for 10 years in a row. Drive it home just for $22 down and $349 a month.
Visit GreenvilleNissan.com today.
Greenville Nissan, where we drive to serve.
Hi, I'm Dr. Alligood.
And I'm his daughter, Jessica.
For 11 years, we have built quality driveways and parking lots for both your residential and commercial needs. We also offer free on-site quotes to have your custom driveways built the way you want.
252-946-1227. Go on 94.3 The Game. Hoist the Johnny Roger. Now back to Hoist the Colors.
It's our final segment here, Hoist the Colors, on a Monday, May 5th edition of the show. Philip Pilkington producing. Been a lot of ECU baseball talk, as you would expect here. Cliff Godwin interview. Appreciate his time. Again, he's not contractually obligated to do these interviews, but we appreciate him taking the time to come on late night, getting back in from Wichita. So check that out if you missed any of it up on Spotify and podcasts, Apple Podcasts here shortly. Philip, it was a crazy weekend outside of ECU sports as well, as 4 Game 7s between the NHL and NBA playoffs. We'll start with the NHL, which, again, like, I'm not even really a hockey guy, but, like, hockey playoffs, man, it's just, you get an adrenaline rush just watching it, especially, like, you get into the third period of a game where it's, like, a frenetic pace picks up, and in both cases, in Game 7, the home team crowd was just, like, urging their side to a comeback. Like, it was insanity. You had Dallas, Mikko Rantanen with the hat trick as Dallas overcomes a 2-0 deficit to beat the Avalanche in Game 7. What is that, like 7 straight Game 7s the Avalanche have now lost or something crazy like that?
Yeah, it's bad.
So they choked that away right after Denver. The Nuggets had won in the NBA, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But the Stars win 4-2. And then yesterday you had the Winnipeg Jets, who were trailing the Blues 3-1, I think inside of 2 minutes, and then scored to make it a 1-goal game, and then tied it with 1.8 seconds left before winning in double overtime. It was just, even as a non-hockey guy, man, that was awesome to watch.
Yeah, it was. Those are 2 exciting Game 7s. Obviously, one I had no skin in, the other one kind of do. Once the Bruins are out, I'll pull for the Avs. And now Wags, I was actually watching that game with Wags. I was like, okay, Wags, I will be on the Canes bandwagon. Bees are out, Avs are out. And he was like, welcome. So joining you guys, all the listeners on the Canes bandwagon, I guess now that the two teams I really care about are out. So anyways, man, that was Mikko made him happy. He had 4 points in the second period alone in Game 6. Game 6, it looked like he had came back and pretty much won for Dallas. They ended up losing it. You let up 4 goals, 2 of which were empty netters, though, in the third period. And then for him to come back, score the Hattie, and lift Dallas over Colorado, it was big for him. And like you said, man, there's crowds, and they just care so much in hockey, man. There's, if you've ever been to the Lenovo Center for a Canes playoff game, and it's rocking. And then, when you look at the Winnipeg thing, for those that don't know, Winnipeg's arena is very small. It's in a very good location. It's easy to get to downtown. A lot of it is kind of almost like getting tickets to Cameron Indoor. It's very small, not a lot of seats, but a lot of passionate fans, and you saw the people there in the streets celebrating. Like you said, they scored with a minute 55 to go, almost scored with like a minute 13. The puck got on the goal line, but did not cross it in full, and just kind of an implosion there by the defense. You can't totally blame Bennington for all of it. Yeah, he's got to save the puck, but it just something kind of felt when they scored the first one. I kind of this gut feeling they were going to score the second one. Obviously, it was a great kind of back and forth first overtime, and then for them to close it out was big. And Winnipeg, we talked about it. Wags, their window's closing, man. They got a lot of good players, including Nino Niederreiter, former Carolina Hurricane. But if they don't win it soon, they're going to be in a lot of trouble. The next year's probably their last year, so nothing could have derailed it more than losing a Game 7 at home, especially when a game they came out so flat.
So the Stars and the Jets will meet in the second round. You also have Vegas and Edmonton in the western side as well. I was going to ask, which fan base is hurting more right now, Colorado or St. Louis? Like, which is a worse way to lose?
I probably, at the end of the day, they still allowed big comebacks. One just got beat in regulation, and one just got beat in
Like, does the Mikko thing make it worse for Colorado?
I think the Mikko thing makes it worse, but the Colorado fans at least got a Game 7 win that night with your Nuggets. So that was big. When you go outside of it, is like, one of them's got Burley, one of them's got Agnos. So how bad can life be when you have Alec Burleson and Zach Agnos? Life can only be so crappy, right?
There's always a tie back to East Carolina. There's no doubt when we're doing these things. And then on the Eastern Conference, you've got Toronto and Florida meet in the second round, and then Carolina and the Washington Capitals. So that is your final 8 in hockey. In the NBA, we had 2 Game 7s as well, and not really as dramatic on either front. I was very happy on Saturday because the Nuggets, while I'm not an Avalanche fan, even though I was pulling for them, trying to get into the whole Denver, Colorado scene, the Nuggets just poured it on the Clippers as Kawhi Leonard and James Harden were invisible because they were on the bench for the fourth quarter. They were getting beat that bad in a Game 7 where they could basically just sit the whole time. And the craziest thing about the Nuggets, who will face the Oklahoma City Thunder, the top seed in the West starting tonight, quick turnaround, is that Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray did not even play close to their best game. That's because Russell Westbrook had like a legacy game in Denver. I never thought I'd be saying Russell Westbrook guided the Nuggets to a Game 7 win at this age, but here we are, man. He played awesome, and his technical foul, I thought, I was not a Russell Westbrook fan until this game. Now I understand why there are a lot of Russell Westbrook fans out there, because he brings the energy, man.
He does bring the energy, and I didn't get to watch the game because it was the wedding, but correct me if I'm wrong, he didn't miss any wide-open layups this time, right?
He did not, because he made sure to finish them with dunks. So he had no layups and no crazy turnovers.
That's all that matters, man. Just make the easy ones. Don't cough the ball up. It's not that hard, man. You're a former All-Star, but no, I was happy for you guys. Obviously pulling for you guys in the West. If the Celtics don't win it all, I'll hope the Nuggets get another ship. So maybe Jokic can make the parade this time. I know last time he had to go home. I think he stayed, but I know he said, I have to go visit my horses. He asked, when is parade? And they told him, he goes, I have to go home and visit my horses. So, no, man, it was, like you said, just kind of anticlimactic Game 7s, which is kind of disappointing, but honestly kind of an interesting Game 1 last night. between the Cavs and Pacers. I mean, yeah, the Pacers controlled a lot of it. The Cavs kept fighting back, and every time they'd cut it to 4 or 5, and the Pacers just pulling away. Could the Pacers pull off the huge upset and knock off the number 1 seed Cavs, who've clearly been the best team in the Eastern Conference all year?
It's always interesting when you get these postseason matchups between youth and experience, like the Rockets were the youthful, better team in the regular season, but the Warriors' experience ended up winning out. They won Game 7 last night handily. And you kind of get it again in round 2 with Nuggets, Oklahoma City. I just don't know if the Nuggets have enough here. I think they'll push it 5-6 games, but I don't know. Like if Denver can keep it close and it comes down to the end of games, like I like Denver's chances. I just don't know if they'll be able to.
Yeah, it's tough, and they're as young as we say Oklahoma City is. At least Shea has been in the league for a while. I think he's been since 2016, 2017. I know he's not the face; it is Chet. But those guys, man, just the attitude they play with now, attitude cannot substitute for experience, but they play like vets over there in Oklahoma City, man. They really play as a team. I think they're mature beyond their years. They've got the star power to do it. I think it's going to be a really fun series. I think they kind of match up interestingly against each other. I think the only thing that worries me with this is because kind of how the teams match up. Are both teams capable of blowing out the other, and whereas the games at the end make it look like, hey, it went 7, it was entertaining, but none of the games themselves were entertaining is kind of my worry.
Yeah, that was how it was kind of during the regular season. The two teams split the 4 games, and really whichever side seized control early in the second half ended up kind of running away with it. All right, we're out of time. We'll continue to talk NHL, NBA playoffs throughout the weeks to come, along with ECU baseball. Also get into some recruiting talk as the week goes along. We'll be back Tuesday at 12 noon. We'll see you then on Hoist the Colors.